It's Thursday, time for the Body Piercing Basics, episode number 25. This week we're going to be covering swelling. So stick around. For those that are new to the channel, my name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I'm the owner and operator of the Axiom Body Piercing Studio here in lovely and beautiful Des Moines, Iowa, inside lovely Skin Kitchen. A lot of loveliness going around today. So when I talk to you, I'm talking to you at a level of someone that has done a number of piercings over the years and has helped people heal through the process. So let's talk about swelling. When should you be concerned? What causes swelling? What precautions piercers take? What piercings are more prone to swelling than other ones? What's normal? And how you can reduce the swelling, and why would you need to be a little concerned about it? First and foremost, any piercing you do, no matter how well it's done, is trauma to the body. Anytime there's trauma to tissue, your body will probably produce a little bit of swelling. It does this because it pulls up blood to create resources and fill the area with those white blood cells and etc. to fight off the possibility of foreign pathogens working their way into the body and causing an infection. So that's normal. If you see a lot of swelling, it's probably normal. Now, some piercings swell more than others. Those that are done through muscle tissue, for example, like tongue piercings, will swell a great deal more than other piercings. Pretty much any piercing that is done in the mouth tends to swell more. There's a lot of things going on here. The first one being is there's a pretty large blood supply there, so it's more prone to do that. Plus, it's one of those danger areas of your body where you ingest a lot of foreign objects into, and you're more prone to cause an infection. So, we're designed by default to fight things in your mouth and seal off wounds quicker and faster and more effectively than we are in other parts of the body. One of the ways that your body does this is by producing a lot more swelling, and in lip piercings, cheek piercings especially, and tongue piercings. So how as piercers do we plan ahead for that and make sure there's not issues? We plan ahead by putting in jewelry that is basically too big for the piercing. It's kind of a balancing point. We want jewelry that's big enough and wide enough to allow for the amount of swelling, but isn't so big that it's just going to constantly get abused. Most cases, we kind of go on the safe side and pierce a little bit on the big side. The rule of thumb from the beginning of millennium, since I've been piercing, is you take the width of the piercing at its largest point, which, like with the tongue piercing, that's going to be when the tongue is expanded to its maximum size, and then roughly add 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch to that. With places in the body where there's more muscle tissue and you're piercing with muscle tissue, we might lean a little bit more on that 1/4 side. With areas that are just kind of prone to swelling, or if a client tells you they're prone to swelling, then we're going to pierce a little bit closer to that 1/4 inch. And on other piercings, we're going to sit right around that 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch, especially piercings that don't seem to swell a lot. The other logic that goes into that is with rings and curved barbells or curved jewelry or circular jewelry, we kind of want to keep that area that's inside the body as flat as possible to reduce trauma and issues with the jewelry being, the ring being too tight, and creating as flat of a piercing as possible. Now, let's get into what causes swelling. Like I said, it's a natural reaction, but it can, certain activities and etc. can actually increase the amount of swelling that you see. One of the biggest factors is eating a lot of salty foods, drinks, etc. Salt makes the body kind of retain water and leads to more swelling. With oral piercings, adjutants, things like tobacco products, alcohol, citrus, tomato-based products, basically anything that you ingest that burns or stings or what have you when you have an open cut or is extremely warm in temperature is going to lead to more swelling. You can reduce the amount of swelling in kind of a couple different ways. The first one being avoiding, if you have an oral piercing, avoiding those things. Also, of course, avoiding salty foods and drinks. You can apply ice to the area. I usually suggest wrap it in, or put the ice in a plastic Glide bag and then wrap it with paper towels and gently apply it to the area. That will help a little bit with swelling. With oral piercings, gently sucking in ice chips and drinking lots of cold liquids and kind of binging on cold frosty treats will help a little bit. As far as medication, etc., that's a common question we get a lot. Is it okay to take this? Is it okay to take that? I don't know, because I don't know I'm not a doctor. I don't have access to your medical records. I don't know what you're allergic to or what you may have reactions to. I don't know how that over-the-counter medication is going to interact with your prescribed medication. When in doubt, it's always best to talk to your doctor before taking any type of, even over-the-counter. I know it's kind of this misconception that it's safe, but you should talk to a doctor before you do take those things. That said, anti-inflammatories such as ibuprofen can help with some of the swelling and some of the discomfort. Before I move on to the last part, which is the talking about what possibly, when you should be concerned, I just want to mention real quickly that we finally launched our merch shop on Spreadshirt.com. If you like the channel, you like what we're doing here, and you'd like to support the channel and the artists that are involved, we have some artist-created content, designs, etc. on that. You can get t-shirts, hats, all kinds of fun stuff. So, link is in the description. Go over there and check that out. So, let's finish it out. When should you be concerned about swelling? Anytime it exceeds the length of the jewelry, you should be concerned, especially with ear piercings and oral piercings. If it starts to exceed it, what'll generally happen is the ball will almost start getting engulfed, and then your body will start producing, in some cases, tissue around it to try to almost swallow it whole and push it out the other side. And that is going to require medical treatment if that happens. So if you get to a situation where it starts to exceed the length of the barbell, you need to see your piercer immediately. The jewelry will need to be changed to something longer. In most cases, it is something that you need to take care of it as soon as possible. Not only is there that possibility of it embedding and then the overgrowth thing, there's always the possibility that because that's more trauma to the area, your body will just keep swelling more. It's almost like that perfect cycle. Like, it's swollen because you did the piercing, it's swollen because there's jewelry in it. Now the jewelry is too tight, and now it's digging into the piercing, so your body produces more swelling to combat the fact that it's swollen beyond the length of the jewelry. And the only way to solve that is to basically go to something that's a little bit longer. Now, one final kind of note on this one is a lot of people talk or ask on a regular basis, when should I change jewelry if it was pierced with a larger piece? It's kind of a balancing point. You want to make sure that the swelling is completely done. It is always best, in most cases, to leave the jewelry in until it's completely healed, especially if you're changing it at home. That said, with certain piercings, like tongue piercings, leaving the longer jewelry in tends to just prolong the swelling, prolong the healing, and increase the likelihood of damage to teeth, gums, and bone structure in your mouth. With other piercings, if the longer bar is starting to come in contact with a lot of items around you and you're having difficulty isolating it keeps getting caught on things, and it's causing a lot of abuse to the piercing, going to a shorter barbell will help reduce that problem. During the healing process, I never suggest changing the jewelry yourself. Always go see your piercer and let them do it. And the reason being is, first off, they can assess the situation and go, hey, the swelling's not quite done doing its thing. I'd suggest waiting for a couple more weeks, or I don't think it's going to solve the problem. Let's hold off for a little bit longer, and they can assess what's going on and try to work out a solution. The other reason is when that piercing is new and fresh, you have pretty much just 2 holes there. In between that, even if a little bit of tissue has formed, it can be very difficult to line those 2 sides up. There's nothing to guide it through that tissue. With certain piercings, it's going to be more difficult than other ones. So the use of a taper pin or some type of a guide pin to put the jewelry in is going to be needed. And your piercer is going to have access to that stuff. Also, if there's a problem with the transferring of the jewelry, he's there to make sure that, or she, it doesn't always have to be a dude, it could be a chick, it could be a gal, it could be somebody that doesn't define themselves as this or that. Basically, your piercer has those tools and that ability to get that jewelry back in if there's an issue. So that covers kind of the basics of swelling. Of course, I'm not going into absolutely every detail. There's a lot more going on when swelling occurs than what I've simply explained, but it kind of gives you an overall idea of what's going on. Basically, if you're seeing a lot of swelling, don't panic. It will go down eventually. If you feel like I missed something, or you have a question about something very more specific and you're just looking for an answer and what have you, you can leave a comment. I usually answer them if I have time in the below here. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. We like it when you like it. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to see more of these videos and you're interested in body art, piercing, and tattooing, please subscribe. We post roughly 3 to 4 videos a week covering tattooing and body piercing, and we add little specials here and there to kind of make things interesting. Hit that notification bell if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of them. Other than that, have a good day. Hope all your piercings heal with ease and without issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your piercing needs in the future. Have a good day.